Raising a Giant by Bob Crisp. Chapter 6. The Duplication Principle. Quote, I would rather have 1% of 100 men's efforts than 100% of my own. J. Paul Getty. Leveraging our time and energy through others is the vital missing link for most of us. Those who are willing to settle for a job, who finds the uncertainty of being in business for themselves unsettling, will never find financial independence. The crowd usually goes for the security instead of the opportunity. Oprah Winfrey, the talk show host, earned over $19 million last year as a syndicated performer. Compare that to David Letterman's mere $14 million at CBS. Letterman has a job. Winfrey owns her own show. Granted, most of us will be content with the $14 million, but where does the other $80 million go? Into the pocket of the network. Certainly, Letterman's value approximates Winfrey's. The difference is who takes the risk. Letterman transfers the risk to the network. Oprah takes the risk herself. Note, Letterman, since this book was originally written, has formed a company called Worldwide Pants, and not only owns his own show, but many others. Smart people eventually get it, usually from someone like Oprah, who was also an early investor with Nike as well. In dollars and years comparison, then, Oprah spends 1 year earning what it takes David Letterman 6 years to earn. Not only is Oprah making more money, but she is also leveraging her time. It takes most people 40 years to earn $1 million, and when they do, they discover they are still broke, old and broke. Not a pretty picture. Network marketing offers us the chance to learn the skills while we minimize the risk involved. Through the principle of duplication, we enter a mentorship program and get to take our time in the process. The decision of fast or slow is ours. I prefer fast. Maybe you prefer to take your time. In any case, we can bite off as much as we want to chew at any given time. Through the duplication process, you have a simple but effective way of learning skills while earning an income, with little or no capital risk. Through this same process, you can learn to emulate rather than imitate success. Your mentors have a direct financial incentive to help and teach you to succeed. No one benefits by your demise. Your upline plays an essential role in your development success. When I first looked at the industry, I asked my sponsor how the products were sold. He said, each person sells a little bit. I figured if each person sold a little bit, it would take a lot of people to sell a lot. I was right. It does take a lot of people. What I could not imagine, however, was how easy it was going to be overall to find a lot of people. I only had to find a handful. It was the duplication process that made it possible. Try making a list of the things your sponsor does. Now work your way upline toward the most successful person you know. Ask yourself how you stack up to them. If you are just evaluating your chances in network marketing, visualize what the elements are that you would need to be successful. How many of the key elements do you have? Where are your weaknesses? How will you acquire the skills needed to advance? What will you do to gain the knowledge and skills your group will need to see in you for you to rise to the top? There is a mistaken belief among some today that network marketing is simply a matter of sponsoring some distributors, loading them up with products, and then telling them to go sell them. It's no wonder why so many fail. The training and personal development programs of most companies fall miserably short. They leave us wondering how to get people involved in programs which are designed only to perpetuate a myth and not designed to get at the real issues of personal growth and true business success. My upline admonished me that personal growth precedes business growth. We get duplication all right, but duplication of all the wrong things. We are told to do what our upline or sponsor did, and so we do it without thinking much about the ramifications down the road. Or, because we are unskilled in some of these areas, we simply fade into the sunset with the epitaph written over our business grave. Here lies another failed believer. Internet note. Thanks to the internet today, everyone has access to the learning resources required to develop skills in our business. Perhaps the best source is one of the company's websites, www.allaccessmedia.com, as mentioned in a previous chapter. Perhaps we could have done better, responded more positively and enthusiastically if we had some serious training in an organization or system to work in and develop before being sent out to die in the streets without so much an hour of field training. To be fair, it is the business itself which sometimes perpetuates this error by growth so fast that training everyone one-on-one is impossible. The nature of fast growth is such that years can go by. In all appearances, the business is hugely successful, but an essential building block is missing in the foundation, which can cause the building to crumble or fall eventually. The blame for such failure is never placed where it belongs, but is usually laid at the feet of poor management or inadequate funding or government interference. What parents do in moderation, children do in excess. Duplication is a fact of life. Children emulate what their parents, teachers, and role models do. In spite of what former NBA star Charles Barkley says, he and all the other well-known athletes are role models. We are serving today as examples or symbols for someone, our children, our friends, our neighbors, our associates. Are we doing well? Are we proud of the example we are setting? Will we be happy to see our business children grow up to be as we are? If this is beginning to sound like a lecture on parenthood, well, maybe it is. From one leader to another, watch what you do. Someone is following your example. Relatability. Being relatable is the single most important issue facing network marketers. You will find that the broader one's experience, the more relatable he or she is. As an example, if you are a football nut but never watched ice hockey, you wouldn't know what the term icing the puck meant. Your ability to relate to a hockey fan would be restricted to other areas of mutual interest. The first axiom of duplication is, your group will do what you do. That's the safe bet. Only like children, they tend to copy mostly the bad habits and ignore the good habits. If they see you with a stack of training CDs in the front seat of your car, before you know it, the leaders in your organization will have a stack of CDs, usually smaller than yours, in the front seat of their car. If they see you wear nice clothes to events, they'll do likewise. A bit of a note here is appropriate. Nice does not have to mean expensive. Sometimes the more expensive you dress, the more intimidating you can be. Don't overdress. Relatability is finding common ground from which to build new relationships. While this may seem simple, and sometimes it is vital that you and your new group acknowledge that business relationships are based on your ability to relate on many levels. People who relate only one-on-one or relate only on one level usually find networking a difficult and frustrating journey because they only relate to people on one level. Years ago, I learned to relate the issue of relatability to a funnel. The dictionary describes a funnel as a tube with a cone-like mouth for pouring things into containers with a small mouth. For our purposes, the funnel represents the concept of borrowing influence from the people around you while expanding your own level of influence. While it is impossible to relate to everyone, it is possible to expand our levels of relatability. Just as the funnel has a broad cone-like flange, our personal funnel has a flange of responsibility depicting the broader base of experience that some have over others. People who have lived in restricted environments all their lives have narrower levels of experience. Those who go to a college in another state, enlist in the armed forces, travel and study and research widely, tend to have broader levels of experience. With our organizational funnel, the consequences of a narrow base of relatability is lessened. You can take advantage of the funnel consisting of your key upline and cross-line team leaders by introducing your prospects to people of comparable background. In this way, you are borrowing influence or credibility from those around you and are more apt to succeed in the sponsoring process than if you rely solely on your own level of experience. It is precisely for this reason that the system is so vital. Those who succeed in network marketing inevitably learn how to make the most of this influence alliance. Broadening your level of relatability is time-consuming but simple. Read a broad sampling of books, attend as many events, and meet as many new people as possible. Let your natural curiosity get involved. Ask questions of those you meet, such as, what caused you to get involved in this business? And what is the key to your success? Don't be afraid to ask a stupid question. Take the time out to find the background stories of those around you. Find a mentor. chances are it will be someone in your upline whose success and style you admire and would like to emulate. Try associating with people who are not like you. What can you learn from those whose experience is similar to your own that will help you? You may get your ego stroked or your own ideas reinforced, but you probably won't grow. The key to new levels of relatability is exploring new levels of awareness. This goes against our basic tendencies and is therefore a concept which takes some getting used to. Your challenge then is to not only get yourself to stretch and grow, but to lead your new recruits into an expanded awareness of their need to grow. What can you do to facilitate this growth process? Try sharing a new book with them. Don't just give them a book, but tell them something interesting that you learned from the book, then give them the book. Read a passage and point out that you felt that they would enjoy it too. Take them to a seminar or event in your area. Attend a local networking group. Better yet, start a networking group of your own. Analyze these steps to achieving a broader base of relatability. 1. Communications. 2. Public relations. 3. Sales. 4. Teaching. And 5. Leadership. Duplication requires a thorough knowledge of the job to be done. How can you duplicate that which you have no knowledge or awareness of? In each of the steps listed above, the education process can take years to master. Determine today to take the beginning steps that will lead you to be better at each of the skills. The duplication process displays itself most in our attitudes toward personal growth. Demonstrating an open spirit and inquisitive mind, you will encourage you and your distributors to be open to you. Have a can-do attitude. Get a sense of urgency about what you are doing. People love to follow people who know where they are going and are on their way. The greater your sense of urgency, the higher your sense of group's urgency. Develop a do-it-now attitude and message. Don't procrastinate or put off doing things. 2 seagulls were flying around an airport one day when a fighter plane took off and narrowly missed them. Once they had recovered from the shock, one bird looked at the other bird and said, "I bet you wish you could fly like that." And the other replied, "I could if my tail was on fire." Lesson: get on fire and people will come from miles around just to watch you burn. Give your distributors something to shoot for. Know that if they are duplicating you, they are duplicating the best. The end of Chapter 6, Raising a Giant by Bob Crisp.